Go on Screen Podcast. Blah, 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 blah. Go on Screen Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a more phenomenal episode of On Screen. I'm your host, Dylan Wright, and I'm here to take you on a journey through film and television. So Franchise February is coming to a close, and I thought to cap it all off, why not go with one of the cheesiest, most awesome series of all time, Power Rangers. Now, I can't do it alone, however, because it's such a huge franchise that I need a little help. So I invited my good friend, Alex Eiden, to come onto the podcast. Alex, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today. I love Power Rangers, I love Morphin, and I love being mighty, and I'm very excited about it.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you're here to talk about this with me because I know you're such a huge fan of the franchise. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is your favorite the very first one, or do you like maybe Turbo a little better, or what's your preference?
Well, I'm probably going to go against the grain a lot with a lot of people's opinions. I like a lot of the later I like all the series, but I like SPD.
Oh, wow.
And I like Mystic Force, Lightspeed Rescue.
Okay.
But it's not saying I don't like the original because I love the original.
Mm-hmm.
But I like those more. I grew up with them.
Yeah.
I didn't really grow up with the OG show or series. I grew up with SPD and Lightspeed Rescue and all them. So there's a bigger place in my heart for them than the original or Turbo or Zeo. Mm-hmm. But I do love them all the same.
Yeah. I definitely have to agree with you. I definitely remember growing up with Lightspeed Rescue specifically. I was watching a history of the Power Rangers kind of recap just to get myself ready for this podcast. And I had this extreme sense of deja vu watching this one scene. And I'm like, oh my God, I watched this live. Oh, I remember watching this. But the reruns of Mighty Morphin are very near and dear to my heart. Watching the Turbo movie going into the Turbo series is also pretty big. But before we get too deep into it, I want to just go into some background about the Power Rangers. Now, a man named Saban went to Japan one day and saw this Japanese series called Super Sentai. He thought, this is a really cool show. I think we could do something in America with this. And he shopped it around to different places and ended up at Fox Kids, where they decided to use some of the Sentai footage, which is like the big monster stuff and a lot of the action sequences, and then have American casts in it. So they cut some budget, and they were able to do this. And they've been doing this for the 19 different shows they've had going on, and they're currently still running. I know Disney had the franchise for a long time, but then it was picked back up by Saban, and it's currently going even today. And we have the new movie coming out in 2017. And what do you think that's going to be like, Alex?
It's interesting. It could be one of two things. It could take itself too seriously or not take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
It could be a joke in and of itself and be like, oh, we're Power Rangers, here's some jokes. Or it could be, we're the Power Rangers. And everyone just looks at it and is like, okay, I'm sure you are. So, I'm excited for it. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for it. I don't care how good or bad it's going to be. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston is Zordon.
I was going to say.
all you need to know.
Yeah.
All you need to know.
A fun fact is Bryan Cranston actually did work with the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. He did some voice work, and the Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston, was named after Bryan Cranston. So I thought that was really interesting that they brought in somebody that kind of has some ties to the original series. And I do like the idea of making Rita Repulsa kind of like a rogue Green Ranger in a way. It's different. It kind of goes off of the kind of the mythology that I think it's a little interesting to do. But I do agree that if it doesn't take itself too seriously, it should be a fun time because the Power Ranger, it's all about cheese. It's all about the over-the-top, explosion, colors behind us, like with all the team-ups.
Yeah, you can see it in one of the original trailers that came out like half a year ago. There's one small part where I think it's the actress who plays Kimberly. She hears this noise and she gets into this fighting pose. And it's so unnatural.
Yeah.
And not even the most trained and I guess professional martial artists or ninjas or what have you get into that pose.
Yeah.
It's just super like a stereotypical ninja pose.
Yeah, it is very Power Rangers of a pose.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun to see it.
I love it. That's just what Power Rangers is.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be realistic.
Yeah, it's not this dark gritty thing. It's bright and colorful. Each one has their own color. You can't get any more rainbowy than that.
Yeah, and I think speaking of colors, I think they play very well on the Black Ranger and the Blue Ranger. I know it's really funny. He's like, I'm black. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. Yeah. I just found that really funny.
Yeah.
That's a good dynamic there. I like that. I always found it interesting the color schemes and all them. I love the colors. I love how it all works out in every series, and it always confused me. Some had 3, some had 5, some had. I think that was it.
It does get really weird, and it's always the Red Ranger's the leader, and you never have a boy Pink Ranger. Those are like the 2 rules that they always kind of have for some reason.
Yeah, I remember one of my favorite Power Rangers ever. I can't remember the character's name because I mean it's not that important to me. But he was the Yellow Ranger in Power Rangers Mystic Force. He was a ginger.
Yep.
It was,
okay, I do remember him.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of my favorite shows. I was like, I think that's the first time I ever saw. No, that's not the first time, but Ninja Storm also had a male Yellow Ranger.
Yep.
Those 2, I think, might be the only 2 male Yellow Rangers, and I love it. I think it's super interesting. You know what I also find interesting is, I never thought about it, the Green Ranger. Mm-hmm. He's mainly just like Tommy in the originals, right?
Yeah, it's Tommy, yeah.
And then there's that one weird time where the character, his name was Bridge, in SPD, was the Green Ranger. For some weird reason, I don't know, but I always found the colors really interesting. I like colors, so I always found it like really particularly interesting.
Speaking of Tommy, he's still my favorite Ranger of all time. I love that he came back in, I think it was Dino Force, as like the mentor character, and then he was the Black Ranger, and I was like, oh my god, Tommy's a Ranger again. I was really excited about it.
I don't want to be that guy. It's called Dino Thunder.
Okay, sorry, Dino Thunder. There are so many different series.
There are a lot.
The fact that I could keep like half of them straight is a miracle.
I could probably name them all if you wanted me to, but I won't right now because that'd be a massive waste of time. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. I don't remember if I was into Power Rangers when the time that came on, but I do remember going back and watching it like last year. I watched like some of it, and I was like, "Oh, Tommy! Oh!" Like I was very confused and concerned, and those CGI dinosaurs were, and this was 2006 or 7.
Oh yeah.
And this was like when CGI wasn't in infancy; it was like an adolescent at that point. So like CGI was decent. That was
Yeah. It's all the source material they had to work with. You know, Japan kind of does it low budget, and then they take a low budget production and put another low budget, and it just kind of spirals into this just corn fest of like epic CGI bad stuff, and it's so much fun. But some of my favorite things that happened within the Power Rangers series are the team ups. I always loved that each one had their own theme song played, and then that huge like finale end where they're all lined up in their colors, and then the explosion, and it was always so epic and so just thinking about it.
I did love those. There was that one episode where like all the Red Rangers came
together.
That
was so cool.
I mean, it was that's like the most famous Power Rangers episode, probably, with all the Red Rangers.
That was really, really awesome. And again, Tommy was in it, so I was like, yes, since he was the Zeo Red Ranger.
He wasn't he? I was like, wait, and he was here. That's right. I forgot he was a Red Ranger in Zeo. Everyone forgets about Zeo, so I'm not surprised.
I think Zeo, and I think he was for Turbo for a little bit, and then he was replaced.
Yes, you're right.
But the thing about Turbo, why did they make like a little kid the Blue Ranger? That was so stupid.
I mean, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was unique. Like
unique,
but he like grows 2 feet during the morphine stage too, which is really funny. I found that really funny.
It's like he's like an adult now, but he has the kid voice, so it's really weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so just lightning round. If you had to pick one color to be as a Ranger, what would you be? This is a good lightning round. You're already.
There's no connotation to like the color. You just be whatever color you want.
Yeah, whatever color.
Green.
Okay.
Green's my favorite color, so Green Ranger.
What team would you want to be on?
Out of like the series, as you mean?
Yeah.
Mystic Force.
Force. I'd probably go with Lightspeed Rescue. Because I love that they're all just like emergency responders. And
that was
my
cool.
dad was a firefighter, so that really like.
I see that,
and the Red Ranger was the firefighter, and I'm like,
I'm big into fantasy stuff. Like I'm a big like Game of Thrones fan, stuff like that. So like Mystic Force really calls to me. I think that's why I like really. They were kind of like my introduction to like mythological like fiction like TV shows and media and stuff like that.
And it was definitely like a big change because a lot of the other ones were very like technological based, or like martial arts, and this one was just kind of fantasy.
Yeah, the series before that was SPD, which was like the police.
Yep,
they were like the police and had like giant vehicles that they formed into their Zord.
Yeah.
And this one, they were different animals in Mystic Force. It was like a bird and a minotaur.
Yeah.
And like some other things, and they combined together to make their Zord. And it was such a big like change from what the rest of Power Rangers was. I think that's why another reason why I liked it so much. Yeah,
the Power Rangers have such like a diverse set of different things they do. Like, sure, you go into frog territory when you go too long into it. Like Johnny Young Bosch's guy got the frog animal for the ninja powers, but I mean, the fact that they can keep coming up with different like team dynamics and different just themes. It's really interesting to see.
If you look at the past couple series, I think the second to last series is called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
It's just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, all right.
Yeah, they're starting to definitely come back on themselves, but hopefully this kind of reboot will maybe just throw some fresh paint on the house. But who knows? It could be anything.
I'm hoping it has a resurgency similar to the Transformers franchise.
Yeah, I definitely think that the movie will help morph the franchise into what it used to be. Okay, that was bad.
Right.
That was bad. But Alex, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Oh, sure.
My Netflix pick of the week this week is all the Power Ranger series. They're all on Netflix, so just binge watch them through through every series. There are going to be some bad ones. I can't even remember the name of it. It was so bad.
Space Galaxy
Operation
Overdrive?
Overdrive. That was horrible. Worst one. Yeah. So maybe skip that one. But like the first couple series are great. Lightspeed Rescue is awesome. SPD has some. I mean, the dog leader is kind of strange, but once you get past that, it's pretty cool. But it's just fun. It's a fun series to watch, and you get like character changes every season. So that's great. If you get sick of somebody, you could just go on to the next series and get somebody new.
If you plan on binging it, like open your schedule.
Yeah,
the first
there's
season
a lot.
Of Mighty Morphin alone has 80 episodes.
It is a haul, but it's something you could just put on in the background and sporadically pay attention to, because a lot of times most of the series aren't serialized. They tend to be just little bits and pieces, and sometimes they'll have the overarching story. But it works so well as a thing. So that's all the time we have for this week's episode of On Screen. If you have any future suggestions for future topics, please email them at dwight@m.marywood.edu. I would love to talk about anything you would like me to talk about. So Franchise February is over, but we might have a new theme for next month. Probably not, but we might. Who knows? So until next time, take care. Podcast, new microphone and On Screen podcast.